So, I popped into High House Insurance to see if they could quote for my house insurance rather than using the internet. High House got a great deal. So, to celebrate, I bought a posh hairdo. It made me look beautiful, gorgeous enough to become a highly paid model. I then won Celebrity Big Brother. I had an affair with an MP. Now, I'm promoting a doll of me that says, "Cool, blimey, you're well fit."
Happy things happen when you talk face-to-face with High House Insurance. See if we can beat your home insurance quote from the internet. Find us on the High Street, Selsey, or call 606 552.
Welcome to this week's Selsey Internet Radio podcast. This is Keith Barnes, and this week in the programme we have Jean Pratt, who's going to tell us what's on in and about the village for the coming week. We have an introduction to Giles Peare, the man. We also have a recipe from Limerive, and finally we have Ellis Berg reading the second in the trilogy of stories, and this part is called The Camel. But firstly, over to you, Jean.
Good morning, everyone. On Monday, the 1st of December, the community warden is meeting anyone that would like to talk to them at Selsey Library. They will be there from 10:30am to 12 noon. On Friday, the 6th of December, Medmurray School are having their Christmas fair. That will be from 3:30 to 5:30. There will be toys, books, cakes, games, raffles and more. Seal Primary Academy are having their Christmas fair, and that will be from 3 till 5, and they have raffles, tombola, cakes, toys and lots more. And again on the 5th of December, Friday, Sakos are producing Christmas extravaganza, and they will be repeating it again on the Saturday. It will feature a feast of festive songs, sketches, readings, solos and carols, and it will be at the Selsey Town Hall. On Friday and Saturday evening it will be at 7:30, but on Saturday they are having a matinee at 2:30. Tickets are £6.50 for adults and £3.50 for children. On Saturday the 6th of December, Selsey Mariners are having a Christmas disco in aid of the RNLI. It will be in Ocean View at Bunleisure and starts at 7:30. Ticket prices are £12.50 and will include a buffet and a raffle. On Sunday, the 7th of December, there will be a tabletop sale at the Selsey Centre, and that will be from 9am till 12:30pm.
Oh, thank you for that, Jean. We go across now to the studio where I was having a chat to Giles Peare. Now, most of you, of course, will have heard of Giles before with his gardening information. But I thought I'd try and find out a little bit about what made Giles famous. Now, as I understand it, Giles, and correct me if any of this is wrong, because some of it might well be.
Yes, that's fine, yeah.
That you were once described as the madcap Sussex farmer,
yeah,
who loves nothing more than snacking out on snails, slugs and insects. And this was prior to your appointment as resident gardener on Channel 4's Big Breakfast Show.
That's a little bit not quite correct in the sense that I actually my claim to fame as such, which brought me into the broadcasting area, was when I had a nursery at Siddlesham. I had a glasshouse nursery growing salad crops, and they weren't making any money at the time at all. Business was going down rapidly, and I did a lot of research at the time and went to the Channel Islands, amongst other things, because I had some friends who knew about it, and I decided to have a go at growing kiwi fruit commercially. And I planted up half an acre greenhouse, a big greenhouse with kiwi fruit, which was specially imported from New Zealand.
Now, can I say at this stage, you were the first person to bring kiwi fruit into the country?
And that, for some reason, that caught the public's attention. And I was inundated with television and radio and all the papers, you name it, at the time. I don't know why, but they thought it was interesting. And because I had this sort of country-type voice or something, they decided that some of them were interested in what I was doing. As it happened, the kiwi fruit unfortunately didn't make money because they take 2 years to come to fruition. And when I planted them, they were for about 50p per kiwi fruit at that juncture.
Mm.
And when I came to harvest them, they'd gone right down to about 5p.
Oh.
So I wasn't too lucky on that ground. But that's where I came into attention to do with the media. Basically, it was that. Dare I say it, the worm effort was a PR man of mine who was trying to get me further publicity, and actually, quite frankly, wasn't something I was keen on at all. And it was quite...
it certainly seems to have done the trick.
It was the kiwi fruit, more importantly, that got me into the area of broadcasting. And then Channel 4 actually was through the kiwi fruit. It wasn't through the other. The other was a follow-on after that.
Oh, right.
And I was sort of what they call their resident gardener for a few years until they finished, obviously. And then in the meantime, I did a few other little things like Tell the Truth with Fred Dinage down here at TVS, which was then TVS. And I did various programmes at that time with various things. And then I started working for Spirit FM as their resident gardener. And I was very lucky and honoured. I won 3 awards of the best gardening broadcaster on radio in Britain, which was through what we did there, and I was very humble and honoured. I gathered at the time I was the only one to ever win it 3 times, and
it's no mean feat.
It wasn't, because we were competing with BBC, we were competing all the big boys, and it was very, did Spirit good and helped me a lot. So that was, in a way, that's the basis of my background. So when I sort of put in my article in Selsey Life, I put award-winning broadcaster. That's what I'm on about. That I was very honoured to get these awards from the Royal Horticultural Society. The dinner was organised by what they call the National Writers Guild. And anyway, so then we had various little deviations, like the one you've just said about the slugs and snails, which I don't really want to dwell on too much. And
no. I'd rather you didn't.
Because my really aim was gardening, not eating slugs and snails. So that was very much a deviation at the time, which, as I say, I repeat, was introduced to me by a PR man. And that's all I say on that.
Like a PR man.
It does, to get me a bit more attention, which it did.
Well, it certainly got the
attention.
It
did, not quite in the manner that I was wanting. Yeah, no, exactly. No. You've got it in one. So that was where it all started, really. And then I also had a few little things which got me in the news, which one was rather interesting. I was very keen on animals of all types, from poultry to a goat to dogs, you name it, cats, whatever. I was an animal lover, and I at one juncture, a friend of mine in Sidlesham gave me a very large goose egg, and I only had one little bird at the time that was ready to sit on eggs, and it happened to be a bantam, which is the bantam hardly covered the egg, obviously, and incredibly the egg did hatch, and incredibly we had this little gosling come out which was twice the size of its mother, and that actually got in the papers at the time. Someone picked that up. That was quite amusing, and so we did have a few little funny things happen here and there, but
sounds like it.
that is the summing really of my briefly of my background.
Well, I think now that you've enlightened us,
I'm afraid I've bored everyone.
No,
with
absolutely
that now,
not. No, it's exactly exactly the kind of thing I was looking for you to perhaps put the record straight. Just for the purpose of the listeners, some of the headlines are about, and you can guess where some of them might have come from at the time.
I do indeed. Don't worry.
The story that was in the newspapers was of Giles eating slugs on toast, which was
right,
which was not true. But we got things like wheater ticks, French stick insect, mosquito toast, lice cream, bees on toast, and French flies, and that's just a few of the ones.
No, well, you're absolutely right, because as it happens, I had a friend in Chichester at the time who owned a restaurant, and he prepared all these exotic dishes, including insects of some sort for diners. And when I was doing this, I actually got a lot of stuff from this guy, and so he had it. It was all cooked; it wasn't raw. And second, which doesn't matter now, letting the cat out of the bag. I was very friendly with the baker in Selsey at the time, And quite often he was very clever. He'd make me up dishes which, say, for example, worms, which wasn't worms at all, something like spaghetti or something, but it absolutely looked the part. So I must tell you, we did cheat rather a lot at that time.
So you could have actually gone into PR yourself without the garden. Well, that's brilliant stuff, Giles, and I look forward to us meeting you next time. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. In the studio this morning, we have Lynn Reeve from Tupney Rice.
Good morning.
Morning, Lynn. What delights have you got for us this week?
I'm going to start with a very
I'm trying to look in your book, but...
Stop it. It's handwritten in my book.
Oh, well, I can't read reading.
My own little recipe book going on here. It's a nice, quick lamb, kidney and steak stir-fry, not the pie, so it's not going to take ages to do. And you can do it. And you can omit the kidneys if some people don't like a lot of offal today.
That'd be me, I've got to say.
So we could just do
definitely not be on the menu.
Like a rump steak stir-fry, but it's very, very tasty and lovely, and it's very quick and easy to do. We're going to start off with 200 grams of lamb kidneys. Okay. 2 tablespoons of oil, 1 large red onion, a large red pepper, 400 grams of rump steak, 4 tablespoons of red wine, 1 to 1.5 tablespoons horseradish. Did you notice how quickly I moved on there? 1 tablespoon of dark soy sauce. Okay, you don't have to put the red wine in. It does taste better with it. This one really does. And don't forget that when you boil alcohol, it dissipates anyway. You're not actually drinking alcohol. You're just drinking the taste of the red wine. So cook your veg up until it's al dente. I like mine al dente. I don't like it all soft and mushy. Just cook your veg up and chop your kidneys, or get the butcher to do that for you. Heat up your wok and add your oil and your onion and your pepper. About 3 to 4 minutes until it goes nice and soft. You know, just soft, not mushy. Remove it from the pan and keep it hot. So chuck that in the oven somewhere. Cook your meat up until it's evenly coloured all over, and allow the excess liquid to reduce. But you do that just by simmering it. Just a few minutes, not long. It doesn't take long at all. Keep your eye on it. And then put your red wine in it and boil it rapidly. All right, that's so that you do dissipate the alcohol and you're not going to all end up merry round the table.
You know, I'm of the mind that, and I've always been told that red wine damages your kidneys. So why would...
That's the alcohol that damages your kidneys, not the red wine.
Oh, they're good.
Okay, stir in your horseradish. So you've boiled it up rapidly for 1 to 2 minutes with your red wine in it. Stir in some horseradish, all right? That gives it a little bit of a kick. Makes it nice and tasty. And if you want to, put some soy sauce in there as well, a little teaspoon of soy sauce, and salt and pepper. Season it to taste. Add your onion and your pepper and bring it back to the boil, and then just serve it up. Now, if you don't like red wine, you could swap it for a Guinness or a nice dark ale, you know, like a man's brown ale or something like that.
I would say if you don't like red wine, go to the doctors, get checked out. That's only my personal opinion.
Yeah, okay then. And if you don't like soy sauce, you can use Worcester sauce.
Okay.
It takes 10 minutes to prepare and about 12 minutes to cook it. It serves 4, and it's 265 calories a portion, so it's not breaking the bank either.
No, certainly not.
It's a very, very tasty little meal to do.
Sounds tasty. Leave the kidneys out for me, but it sounds tasty.
Lovely.
Well, that's lovely, Lynn. Well, thanks very much, Lynn.
You're welcome.
And we'll see you again soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye. And finally today we go across to Ellis Berg, and Ellis is going to read the second in a trilogy of stories, and this one's entitled The Camel.
Now this is the next tale, and it tells how the camel got his big hump. In the beginning of years, when the world was so new and all, and the animals were just beginning to work for man, there was a camel, and he lived in the middle of a howling desert because he did not want to work. And besides, he was a howler himself. So he ate sticks and thorns and tamarisks and milkweed and prickles, most excruciating idle. And when anybody spoke to him, he just said, "Hump," just "hump," and no more. Presently the horse came to him on Monday morning, with a saddle on his back and a bit in his mouth, and said, "Camel, oh camel, come out and trot like the rest of us." "Hump," said the camel, and the horse went away and told the man. Presently the dog came to him with a stick in his mouth and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and fetch and carry like the rest of us." "Humph," said the camel, and the dog went away and told the man. Presently the ox came to him with the yoke on his neck and said, "Camel, oh camel, come and plough like the rest of us." "Humph," said the camel, and the ox went away and told the man. At the end of the day, the man called the horse and the dog and the ox together and said, "Three, oh three, I am very sorry for you, with the world so new and all, but that humphing thing in the desert can't work. Oh, he would have been here by now, so I'm going to have to leave him alone, and you must work double time to make up for it." That made the three very angry, with the world so new and all, and they held a palaver and an indaba and a panchayat and a powwow on the edge of the desert, and the camel came chewing milkweed most excruciating idle, and laughed at them. And he said, "Humph," and went away again. Presently there came along the djinn in charge of all deserts, rolling in a cloud of dust. The djinns always travel that way because it is magic, and he stopped to palaver and powwow with the three. "The djinn of all deserts," said the horse, "is it right for anyone to be idle, with the world so new and all?" "Certainly not," said the djinn. "Well," said the horse, "there's a thing in the middle of your howling desert, and he's a howler himself, with a long neck and long legs, and he hasn't done a stroke of work since Monday morning. He won't trot." "Whew," said the djinn, whistling. "That's my camel for all the gold in Arabia. What does he say about it?" "He says, 'Humph,'" said the dog, "and he won't fetch and carry." "Does he say anything else?" "Only 'humph,' and he won't plough," said the ox. "Very good," said the djinn. "I'll humph him, if you will kindly wait a minute." The djinn rolled himself up and in his dust cloak and took a bearing across the desert and found the camel most excruciatingly idle, looking at his own reflection in a pond of water. "My long and bubbling friend," said the djinn, "what's this I hear of you doing no work, with the world so new and all?" "Humph," said the camel. The djinn sat down with his chin in his hand and began to think a great magic while the camel looked at his own reflection in a pool of water. "You've given the three extra work ever since Monday morning, all account of your excruciating idleness," said the djinn, and he went on thinking magic with his chin in his hands. "Humph," said the camel. "I shouldn't say that again if I were you," said the djinn. "You might say it once too often, Bubbles. I want you to work." And the camel said, "Humph," again, but no sooner had he said it than he saw his back, that he was so proud of, puffing up and puffing up into a great big lolloping humph. "You see that," said the djinn, "that's your very own humph that you brought upon your very own self by not working. Today is Thursday, and you've done no work since Monday, when the work began. Now you are going to work." "How can I?" said the camel with his humph on my back. "That's made a purpose," said the djinn, "or because you missed those 3 days. You will be able to work now for 3 days without eating, because you can live on your humph. And don't you ever say I never did anything for you. Come out of the desert and go to the three and behave yourself. Humph yourself." The camel humphed himself, humph and all, went away to join the three, and from that day to this, the camel always wears a humph, and we call it a hump. Now, not to hurt his feelings, but he has never yet caught up with the 3 days that he missed in the beginning of the world, and he's never yet learned how to behave. Now there's a poem that goes with this. It's quite long, so listen. The camel's hump is an ugly lump, which well you may see at the zoo. But uglier yet is the hump we get from having too little to do. Kiddies and grown-ups too, ooh, if we haven't enough to do, ooh, we get the hump, Camellia's hump, the hump that is black and blue. We climb out of bed with a frowsly head and a snarly, yarly voice. We shiver and scowl and we grunt and we growl at our bath and our boots and our toys. And these ought to be a corner for me, and I know there's one for you, when we get the hump, Camellia's hump, the hump that is black and blue. The cure of this ill is not to sit still or browse, but with a book by the fire. No, but to take a large hoe and a shovel also, and dig till you gently perspire. And then you will find that the sun and the wind, and the gene of the garden too, have lifted the hump, the horrible hump, the hump that is black and blue. I get it as well as you, ooh, if I haven't enough to do, ooh. We all get hump, Camellia's hump. Kiddies and grown-ups too.
Well, thank you for that, Ellis. We look forward to next week, to part 3. Well, I'm afraid that's about it for this week. Thank you for joining us. Our thanks to all concerned, to Giles Peare, Lynn Reeve, to our new girl, Jean Pratt, to our production engineer, Dennis Cowan, and to Ellis Berg for the story. My name's Keith Barnes, and it's been my pleasure to produce this week's show, and we hope you'll tune in again next week. Bye for now.